Hey, brothers and sisters, what's up? This is the Reluctant Nabi back again. Another video to do. This is kind of going to be a review, but again, there is something to be seen here if people are really paying attention. And the programming has started. All right, the programming has started. And if we look at the history of this country, there has been an all out assault on the nature, manhood, the growth, the intellect, and the spirituality of the Afro man in this country. All right, where they use any means necessary to keep us from our own spirituality. Now, just when you thought it was safe to go to the movies and enjoy yourself, all right, the message is being shown to the children, and they are subtly telling just manhood that is worthless in the United States. Of course, only after men built the country with blood, sweat, and maybe tears from the wives or whatever, laid the concrete, the skyscrapers, designed and created the cars, and all the rest of the stuff. And I want y'all to notice something, that once the powers that be find a formula that works, they could stick anything in it to warp the minds of those looking at the thing. Think about this for a minute. Dow Chemical is not Dow, the name. Somebody named Dow Chemical is not inventing or creating anything. But you have a bunch of people that had ideas, went to college and stuff like that, and they created some things, but their creation is now owned by Dow Chemical. Look at the history of Prince. Uh, he wanted his masters. He's like, I wrote this music. I don't have control over my own artistic expression. That's what this country is about. Taking away something that the people created and use it as, wealth for the top 1% of the 1%. Period. Stealing the ideas of others, right? So, what is the biggest threat to that? Men deciding to stand up for themselves. But how do you prevent men from standing up for themselves? Rob them of their manhood in childhood. You know, um, it's one thing for a teenager to want to experiment, and I'm not really with it, but it's one thing for that. It's another thing to have the child raised by his mother, and the mom forced the male child to not be his gender. That's another thing. Now, if stuff happen and they grow up, but at 3, 4, 2, all right, and they're doing this to the males. Why do I say this? There's a particular scene in Avengers Endgame where they showed you their hand, however briefly, the people that's creating all of this mess. And y'all better pay attention as we discuss this. All right? So, let me greet everybody. Hororden Hardu Gudak, Ola Oi to the Bang, Fasas Los, Bonjour mes amis, Keto Bawani Konnichiwa, Ni Hao Ni Ama, Sani Bonani, Jumpo Bang, Gani, Assalamu Alaikum and Shalom. And to my brothers out in Brazil that's watching this, Querido, muito querido, você não quer fazendo mesmo Status Unitas. Status Unitas. All right. That I don't. No country should be like this one. Period. None. Everybody should just remain themselves. Because this country is going to tear itself up on the inside out, and they're going to do that by destroying the laws of nature and manhood. Yep, it's the great divide. Let me remind you real quick. Let's get those thumbs up, like, share, subscribe. When you subscribe, click the notification bell. For those that like to help me do what I do, um, all over the place, uh, my PayPal me link will be in the description box. Kind of need help, but we understand if you can't. Remember, you always take care of yourself and family first. Now, with that out the way, so here we are. When you started out and you look at all these posters, all right, you had two things going on. You had men and women involved in helping them out. You had men and women on each of the teams. You had, dare I say, diversity. You had two green things even. You had a lot of diversity. All right. But I'm gonna tell you about the funny thing about this diversity thing. You have Afro, you have black people, um, you have everything. All right. I'm gonna tell you about this thing, this diversity thing. When you look at the comments, everybody was talking about Valkyrie. When Captain Marvel, when people heard she was going to be in it, everybody wanted to see. Everybody thought it was going to be Rambo, but it wasn't. But people were watching these movies. They were watching the females kick butt, sometimes in a hilarious way. The males in a hilarious way. Who's the strongest? Thor or Hulk? And they threw all the joy out of the window. Now, people went to see this based on advertising the first 2 or 3 weeks. Everybody felt like they had to see this because there was so much buzz about it. But I bet you that the reviews and stuff are going to change as people let it sink in. Now I saw this yesterday or day before. And I noticed this and I was like, you know what? I don't think I want to see another Marvel movie anymore. Tired of the messaging. In one fell swoop, what Disney is doing is one, they're getting rid of morality, they're getting rid of gender, everything that has to do with nature. And if you want to destroy something utterly, leave it in charge of women. Let them have you believe that they would do something that is stuff that men do. Spoilers ahead at this point, but I don't care, right? I don't have nothing to do with the movie anyway. And probably the people that get upset can't walk my behind anyway, so I don't know. I don't care. All right. When Black Widow sacrifices herself, all right, I understand the story that they're trying to make. But what y'all don't understand, they wanted the woman to volunteer to sacrifice her life, and that is not the nature of woman. The woman barely makes any sacrifices in our society whatsoever in the United States. Everybody else is required to sacrifice for the female in the United States. They have no accountability. They get a slap on the wrist when something happens. And when they get upset, look at what they're doing to the children. Look at who they're leaving the children with so that they could go do what they want to do. There's an incident that happened in Houston regarding the garbage disposal and child. I want y'all to understand this, right? And all media is being brought to bear to keep this silent. No more is it about men and women working together. Is women taking charge and they don't need no man now. In the movie, they severely weakened the Hulk. They severely weakened Thor. All right. This does not follow any of the old comic books. However, I want y'all to understand this. This does not follow the lines of the old comic books. However, since Disney is buying out everything, which I think it needs to stop. Disney and Google should not be able to buy out and merge with everything, because they're working together to put out a disastrous message that is anti good men. And I say anti good men because in music they still push the most vile of males, the thug, the gangster, um, the person using, the person selling. They do not promote the good Afro man. I want y'all to understand this. So as this thing moves on, all right, they've weakened, aged, they've done everything. They nerfed Black Panther in his intellect. They made a 16-year-old girl smarter than the eighth smartest man in the Marvel universe at the time. So they nerfed his intellect in the movies. Because Lord forbid you have an intelligent Afro man. Come to find out, we're inventing a lot of the things, and we're responsible for why you can get to space and a lot of other stuff. But you just can't have that. Y'all better pay attention. And now they're like, okay, now that we've done away with the Afro men, let's just do away with men. Let's give the boys nothing to look up to, and have their mamas put them in dresses at 3, 4, 5, and 6. We're going to rob them of their manhood before they can even become a man. And we're going to let the United States be run by women. And you already see it's being run into the ground. Because here's the thing, wickedness prevails when there are not strong men at the gate. And I don't care how strong mentally or physically women think they cannot hack with or mess with evil men once they get the advantage. Oh, and the good men that you just kicked out of existence won't be there to stop them. All right. Remember, when the Germans rampaged France, many of the French women slept with the Germans. Many of the underground men was fighting against them. In the Afro community, in the Black community in the United States, the Black women have been sleeping with the enemies of the Black man since its inception. And they still are and still will continue to, because they never cared about them. All they care about is their feelings and what they can get out of something. They care nothing about the community or anything else. And you see this. They care about their image, their vanity, and all the rest of that stuff. So you're watching things be destroyed right before them. Lord help you when the wickedness are enabled to run unabated because no good men exist to be their foil. But that's what Hollywood, that's what the women are asking for. Because they think they can control them. You never let open the box, Pandora. So now you got it. Instead of working together, you got the torch to be passed from the man to a petite female. And you want to put this image that women have all this power. But when you look at who's pulling the strings, it's the top 1% of 1% men at the top that want the men that would fight destroyed. Except we're not going to be destroyed. We're just leaving. And how they want the men that would fight to be destroyed is they know they need the strength of the physical strength of the men, but they want them to be weak. No one weakens men like women. And they're not worried about the women once they do their job and weaken the men. Because the women will remain putty in their hands. But they might have underestimated some things. A lot of men will just walk out, not work for you, not do crap. Oh, and they're not doing anything for the women either. And as the women suffer, they're going to have the weight of lost men on their backs. And maybe they might get some accountability then. But this is the brainwashing, and it's in effect. As they hit this wall, where no man will help them, they won't see the wall coming because right now they see only what the messaging is. But I'm letting you know, brothers, it is some messaging going on. All right? Pay attention to it. With that said, I'm out.